My name is David Flink, and I am the Chief Empowerment Officer and co-founder of Eye to Eye, which is a national mentoring movement for students who have learning differences. Eye to Eye was founded just down the street at the Swear Center, and I remember going into the Swear Center as a student. I show up at Brown, and I'm very excited about doing something good. I don't know what that means, but I hear the Swear Center is going to be the answer to that question. So I show up at the Swear Center, and I ultimately end up meeting Peter Hawking, who was the head of the Swear Center. And I said, I want to do something really good in this world. And I don't want to wait till I'm 40. I want to do it now. I actually want to do it last week. And he said, okay, we like that kind of motivation here. What do you have in mind? I said, well, I know that I struggled when I was a kid with my dyslexia and my ADHD. And what I really mean is not so much that I struggled with it, but that as a result of having dyslexia and ADHD, I struggled in the school system. And I'm here at Brown because a lot of people believed in me. And I want to share what folks did for me with young people. And one thing that could have been really different for me is if someone who had dyslexia and ADHD had come and mentored me. I never had that. So I'd like to do that for a young person. He said, yeah, I think that we can arrange something like that. That doesn't seem too outrageous. He said, do you know anyone else? And I said, well, it's very hard. The thing about dyslexia and ADHD is that it's invisible. So I only know 5 other people on campus right now that actually have this learning disability. But I think that they would mentor me. It's like, if you can get 5 other people and, maybe a little bit of a program, some kind of structure, what you actually plan to do with these mentoring, I think we can help you out. So I met a number of other students, these glorious 5 in particular, who agreed to say, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to share our stories. And we ultimately developed an art-based curriculum that we did over the 4 years that we were here at Brown that became Eye to Eye. So probably the hardest challenge was also the greatest asset in launching this, which was my youth. So my youth allowed me to not know any better. No one said, you can't do this. So I didn't know that this was something potentially crazy. On the other side, I also lacked all kinds of experience, and some of those experiences might have told me that I couldn't do this. The other parts of those experiences were the values that would have told me how to do it. So once I kind of got over, all that is just wrapped into fear. And it took me 2 years to understand that this thing that I loved could actually be a thing that I do. I got past that fear, and then thankfully I had mentors. So I run a mentoring organization, but I also was very good, I think, about seeking out mentors. So I went to people like Barrett and said, I would like to do this for a living. And Barrett kind of looked at his wrist and said, I've been waiting for you. I knew this was coming. I just surprised it took you 2 years, but in the very loving way that he does for all of his students. He said, let's work this out. And so I started meeting with him. I met with Professor Middleman. I met with some folks back at the education department, and I started to develop. Really, it wouldn't even be called a board of directors. It was a board of advisors, people who I could turn to give me knowledge. But what I didn't discount was that I had knowledge. I had 4 years at Brown running this program. I had 20 some odd years of being someone with a learning disability, and that was a real value. So once I got past the concern of what it meant to be young and try and change the world, I then realized, being young and trying to change the world is exactly what young people are supposed to do. The Brown network was huge. The vast majority of people that I connected to were people related to Brown, who, in fact, they take joy in this in part because of the Brown tie-in. I'm back on campus today because I just taught at a class that I took where I wrote the business plan, and my statement to everyone in that class is, I am part of your team now. You already have someone on your board of advisors. I don't know if I can join your board of directors, but I'm happy to join your board of advisors. So I think for anyone who's thinking about a career path, if you follow your passion, you match it with people who can help you along the way and use Brown as a network, the rest is gravy. It's all going to work just fine. People are scared to ask for help. That's actually what it comes down to. When you have a learning disability, you spend a lot of time asking for help because education isn't necessarily built exactly for you. So you have experience asking for a teacher to maybe get extra time on a test because you struggle with reading. I found that being willing to just continually ask for help and show my vulnerability was my greatest success. There are times when you need to come in and just present with a very unified front, like I know what I'm doing, here's what I've learned, and I always owned the stuff that I knew. But I also was really kind of careful in saying I need help on this stuff that I don't know. If you're gonna do something of this accord, you need to have a passion in it, but there's a counterbalance to that. Sometimes when you're so passionate, you lose your balance. And I feel really lucky that I have a great partner in life to help me with my balancing act that is life. My wife Laura, who went to Brown and I thankfully met very early on in my life, is someone who reminds me every day how important to keep family alive, to keep healthy choices alive. I love to run. It's like my favorite thing to do. In fact, if I had time today, I'd be doing my usual Blackstone run, although unfortunately I have to take a train. So I'll have to do my run back in New York. But just keeping those healthy choices as a part of your life is paramount for you to be successful in your workforce.